Every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News today, broadcasting live from our Lagos studios. I am Abosedi Omowi. In our top stories tonight, many thanks for joining us tonight. Now the news in full. The federal government has assured Nigerians that the 2016 budget is expected to go into full operations in the next few days. This assurance was given by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who was a guest speaker at the 12th edition of the platform, an annual national discourse put together by Covenant Christian Center at the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. Osinbajo pointed out that he is aware of all the concerns Nigerians raise about the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration every day, urging the citizens to remain patient as they are working on strategies to turn around the situation in the country. The 2016 budget, which was first presented on December the 22nd, 2015, has been marred by widespread irregularities and fraud, prompting President Buhari to retrieve it for a makeover in January. And the federal government is to establish technological hubs in the geopolitical zones of the country. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo made this known while speaking at the 12th edition of the platform, an annual national discourse put together by the Covenant Christian Center at the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Osinbajo says 2 super hubs in Lagos and Abuja and 1 in each geopolitical zone will be in partnership with several major technology companies and will be designed to produce relevant, innovative technology solutions to a wide range of business, commercial and government problems. The Vice President further reveals that government will deepen the diversification of the economy, focusing on big areas such as agriculture, agro-allied value chains, solid minerals, petrochemicals, technology and entertainment. Meanwhile, the former Vice President of the World Bank, Obieze Kwesili, and a social entrepreneur, Ibukun Awoshika, advocate for radical change of approach in national policies to accommodate the current realities. And now, despite the atrocities contributed to them recently, Fulani herdsmen may be getting some support after all. Governors in northern Nigeria are asking the citizenry to desist from demonizing the Fulani race in the country. Rising from a meeting which lasted several hours in Kaduna, the northern governors have also been condemning recent attacks in communities in Benue and Enugu State amid other security challenges in the country.
In his welcome speech, Borno State Governor and Chairman of the Northern States Governors Forum, Kashim Shettima, says the current spate of violence has assumed alarming dimensions, such that now warrants the prompt action by the Northern States Governors.
In the northwest and north central, the security situation is alarming, and the issues of cattle rustling, kidnapping, banditry, and the persistent conflict between farmers and cattle rearers are gradually assuming unacceptable proportions.
The chairman of the Northern States Governors Forum says the problem of insurgency in the northeastern part of the country has been effectively tackled, with the Nigerian government recovering territories lost to the terrorist group Boko Haram. The Borno State Governor says the insurgents have been effectively subdued.
So the consequence that all of the areas hitherto under their control or influence have been recaptured. We call on Mr. President to ensure the full restoration of civil authority in the recaptured areas in order to pave way for the safe return of our IDPs.
On the fallout of last December clashes in Zaria between the Nigerian army and members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Governor Kashim Shettima appealed to the Shiite group to have a rethink on its decision to boycott the public hearing of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry set up by the Kaduna State government to look into the immediate and remote causes of the incident.
I would like to seize this opportunity to make a passionate appeal to members of the Islamic movement of Nigeria to avail themselves in the Judicial Commission of Inquiry set up by the Kaduna State government in order to present their case.
This is the second time the Northern States governors are meeting since the 2015 general election. 8 governors were in attendance and others represented by their duty.
In the meantime, the National Emergency Management Agency is calling on security agencies in the country to find lasting solutions to the rising cases of Fulani herdsmen and farmers' clashes before they become national crisis. The Director of Risk Education, Nema Al-Hassan Nuhu, made the call when a delegation of the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria paid a quarter visit to the agency in Abuja. Basil Ukafo tells us more.
Members of this civil group are here to partner with NEMA in the areas of addressing human rights issues in the country. But they are, however, worried that if the reported cases of Fulani herdsmen and farmers' clashes are not urgently resolved, it may spell doom for the country. The agency responsible for management of crises in the country is, on the other hand, calling security agencies to brace up to the challenges before it gets out of hand.
It comes with associated impact on life and property of the people, and NEMA always is there to provide support. So it is for our own interest that this protracted unfortunate incident is made to be good.
Apart from Fulani herdsmen and farmers' clashes, the civil group is also worried that inmates in the nation's prisons are living in squalid conditions. They want NEMA officials to address the plight of the inmates before their conditions degenerate into a national disaster.
We urge good offices to see Nigerian prisons as disaster areas because for many years, thousands of inmates kept in these decrepit contraptions called prisons have been institutionally denied of their rights.
The civil group is determined to continue its campaign on the issues of human rights in the country through its creative write-ups. Basil Okafo, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Now, Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State has promised to end incessant cases of kidnappings to guarantee the safety of lives and property of the citizens in the state. El-Rufai made the promise on Saturday during a town hall meeting in Kacha local government area of the state. He says the state government has noted with concern the spate of kidnapping, especially in Kaduna metropolis, adding that the ugly scenario would soon be a thing of the past. El-Rufai adds that the state has recorded significant stride in addressing indices of security, including killings of innocent persons and cattle rustling. He expresses regrets that perpetrators of such acts had resorted to kidnapping of persons, but assures that the police is making giant strides in surmounting the challenges. And in other news, private individuals and corporate bodies have been urged to join efforts with the government at rehabilitating the internally displaced persons spread across parts of the country. Members of the Coalition of Nigerian Muslim Women made the call at the completion of a vocational training for internally displaced persons at Dakwa Camp in Abuja. Abiola Oluwole has more.
Though they have resigned to fate in their Dakwa Camp, 30 kilometers away from the Abuja Central Business District, the Coalition of Nigerian Muslim Women took the courage of taking succor to the internally displaced persons in the obscure environment of the FCT. To these people, laying their hands on productive activities after being displaced by the Boko Haram insurgents is a thing of joy. Undertaking training in shoe, pomade, soap and bead making, GSM repair and tailoring is a turning point in the fate they suffered in the hands of Boko Haram insurgents.
Now I have something I can do on my own without government or anybody. I'm now a self-employed somebody. I can start something of my own. I even want to have some set of people that I can train them as well.
Over 280 internally displaced persons have so far benefited from the vocational and entrepreneurial training bankrolled by this religious group.
Before they became IDPs, they had a life. Some of them were teachers, they were students, they were professors probably, and doctors, and you name it, they had a profession and they had a life. Now, because of the things that have happened to them, they have, found themselves in this situation.
About 100 of them are graduating, 30 in tailoring, 22 in pomade and soap making. GSM only 4 because there are men, only 4 of them.
They are also calling on the federal government to accelerate the process of integrating victims of the Boko Haram insurgents into the society.
They have shown us now that they can do something for themselves, and we hope that the government is watching and the government is going to do some more for them so that they can carry on. It's very encouraging to see that there are people that don't want to become government dependent.
Providing vocational training for the IDPs, according to experts, is just one of the many steps that will be taken by relevant government agencies at rehabilitating them back to the society. Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Despite the atrocities attributed to them recently, Fulani herdsmen may be getting some support. After all, governors in northern Nigeria are asking the citizenry to desist from demonizing the Fulani race in the country. Rising from a meeting which lasted several hours in Kaduna, the northern governors have also been condemning recent attacks in communities in Benue and Enugu states amid other security challenges in the country.
The forum calls for security challenges in the country to be approached from a national perspective as opposed to ethnocentric traits being pelted at the moment.
We equally condemn the demonization, the politicization, or permit the coinage, the ethnicization of the whole crisis. It goes beyond Fulani. For anybody to say Fulani has meant, to me, it's a gratuitous insult.
Kwara State Governor says peace and security of the nation is everybody's responsibility, as no nation will develop without peace and security.
Security challenges are everywhere in the country. Yes, I agree with you that there's been a lot more of it with respect to insurgency in the part of the north. But don't forget we have the kind of side of kidnapping, armed robbery and other things in the south too.
I want to call on you to avoid sensationalism and harp on areas of national unity. We have challenges in this country. We should unite as a people to confront common challenges.
There are expectations from the high-powered meeting, which should include suggestions on how the federal government can and should deal with the situation, saying the suspected herdsmen are from the northern part of the country. Nonetheless, whatever must be done fast.
In other news now, the Yobe State government has restated its commitments to its people's welfare by distributing food and non-food items to internally displaced persons in Kanama town, the birthplace of the Boko Haram group. After taking refuge in neighboring Niger Republic for almost 2 years, the IDPs had returned to Kanama, located in Yunusari local government area of Yobe State in northeast Nigeria. The resettlement committee led by Dawa Megari notes that Governor Ibrahim Gaidam would, apart from providing food and non-food items to the returnees, work out ways to rebuild the destroyed structures. The leader of the distribution committee, who is also the state commissioner for local government, Dawa Megari, assures that the government would help the displaced persons in vocational trainings. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, Gabriel Oloni-Shaki, has promised to rebuild public facilities destroyed in Agatu and other local government areas affected by the herdsmen attacks in Benue State, Nigeria. The defense chief made the pledge in Agatu while on a fact-finding visit to communities and other local government areas like Buruku and Taraka, where many lives were lost in the wake of the herdsmen attacks. Oloni-Shaki, who was represented by Major General Edward Nze and a crack military team, promised more deployment of both the Navy and Air Force to support the troops on ground to enable the locals take advantage of their return home. The team has promised that the crisis would end and also pledges to ensure that the federal government includes rehabilitation of the affected Benue communities in its program. And now the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, says at least 359 policemen were killed in the line of duty between January of 2014 and April of 2016. Arase made this known at a lecture he delivered at the University of Jos, which was titled Police and Public Partnership in Prevention and Control of Violent Crimes and Conflicts in Nigeria. Arase says that 272 policemen sustained various degrees of injuries within the same period, adding that casualties occurred while intervening in civil conflict. In other reports, the Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, has confiscated over 500 expired tires and electrical cables from dealers in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. The state coordinator of the SON, Udeme Udom, coordinated the seizure along the popular Bedwell Street in Calabar South, reveals that the exercise is a nationwide enforcement embarked upon by the SON to rid the country of substandard products. Udom stresses that expired tires are responsible for some road crashes, adding that cases of fire outbreaks in homes, offices and markets are equally traced to the use of substandard electrical cables. He therefore advises motorists to cease from buying fairly used tires and urges customers of food products to always check the expiry date of the products, as expired products are harmful to health. You're watching CoreTV Primetime News. Still ahead, Labour insists on pay rise even as it gets set for the 2016 Workers' Day. Details of these and other reports after this break. Do stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
You know, Angela, that's a very difficult question.
It is difficult to respond to that question.
Angela, that's a great question.
Great question, Angela.
Angela, that is a very great question. That's a great question, Angela.
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah, very good question.
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
That's an interesting question.
This is an interesting question you pose. 60 Minutes with Angela. Again, answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Many thanks for staying with us. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News, reaching you live from our Lagos studios. Let's take another look at our top stories. You can get more on our top stories, all the news and information on our social media platforms. Facebook.com/CoreTV News. You may follow on our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space news. As Nigerian workers get set to celebrate this year's Workers' Day, the Nigerian Labour Congress is calling on the federal government to review the national minimum wage as it is long overdue considering the economic trend. The Deputy President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Peter Adeyemi, made this call in Abuja while addressing newsmen on the activities lined up for the May Day celebration. He says Naira has lost its value and the current minimum wage has been eroded, which calls for the need to urgently review the current minimum wage. Kikelomo Okere completes the story.
May Day celebration is an occasion for workers to celebrate the dignity of labor as well as reflect on their struggles and making their demands known. Deputy President, Nigerian Labour Congress, says the federal government should suspend the recent increment in electricity tariff and put an end to endemic fuel scarcity in Nigeria, which has resulted to unwanted long queue at the filling station.
It is most pertinent to reiterate our calls for the suspension of the implementation of the recent increase in electricity tariff and for the government to put an end to the endemic fuel scarcity that has resulted in the unwanted long queues at the filling stations.
This year's celebration, tagged Working Class and the Quest for Socio-Economic Revival, is aimed at reflecting on the present economic situation, charting a way forward to national rebirth and advocating for endangering of pro-poor policy.
As the theme of this year's May Day suggests, this is a time for us as working class to look at the present economic situation and the reality of the moment and utilize the opportunity afforded us to work toward achieving economic revival and chart a way to a national rebirth and advocate for the engendering of poor policies.
May Day celebration is used to celebrate the social relevance of workers as the creator of wealth on which the survival of nation depends. Kikelomo Okere, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The federal government has declared that its focus this year would be on completion of already awarded roads across the country, with priority to those carrying heaviest traffic, adding that about 206 roads fall into that category. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, made this known while granting a television interview. The minister also describes as wrong the practice of the recent past, whereby whole capital budget was taken and roads were just lumped together with each other, allocated just little fund, no matter the extent of rehabilitation such road needs, saying it is not the right approach. Fashola equally hints that government could toll some of the roads it intends to build or reconstruct if the nation must get out of the situation, adding that there will be alternative roads as well so that people can choose. The minister notes that Federal Road Maintenance Agency needs restructuring, revealing that there is a bill he met seeking to reform the road sector. Talking about the media now, the takeoff of the digitization of broadcast signals in Jos, the Plateau State capital, has been described as a major boost to the nation's economy. While addressing a World Press Conference shortly after the official launch of the pilot scheme of the project in Jos, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, disclosed that digitization will boost the nation's economy. And now farmers in Plateau State are seeking the immediate assistance of the state government to ensure a successful farming campaign. The farmers say the lack of farming implements, fertilizers and the dastardly acts of Fulani herdsmen are posing serious concerns to them in the discharge of their duties. Our Plateau State correspondent brings us details. Although the Plateau State government says it has put in place several machineries to boost farming activities in the state, the farmers have decried the increasing gap in communication between them and government. The farmers say they lack farming implements and fertilizers as a result of the gap.
We needed the assistance of government in terms of tractor.
The production will be better than last year because of the rainy season that is coming now.
According to the manager of the Plateau State Agricultural Development Program, the government is aware of the gap and has made frantic efforts to reach many farmers in the state, adding that the government has taken both local and international measures to ensure a successful farming season in Plateau State.
We also have some messages that we collected from West African Agricultural Productivity Program, WAP, which we have just met with the directors at the local government.
After all said and done, it is hoped that enough measures will be taken to curtail the activities of the Fulani herdsmen who are in the habit of destroying farms. And in Ekiti State, 7 governors on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, led by the national chairman of the party, Ali Modu Sharif, have attended a special Thanksgiving service in honor of the governor of Taraba State, Darius Ishaku. Those in attendance include the governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayoshi, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel, and Gombe State Governor Hassan Dakwambo. Others are Ondo State Governor Olusegun Mimiko, Abia State Governor Kezi Piazu, and Rivers State Governor Nyesam Wike. Our Ekiti State correspondent tells us about the gathering.
If God delivered me, I will do my Thanksgiving where they don't.
The PDP governors and the party chairman were in Ekiti to honor Taraba State Governor Darius Ishaku, who decided to have a special Thanksgiving service in Ekiti to keep his promise to Governor Fayoshi, whom he says reinforced his faith when they met in Jerusalem, where he had gone to seek the face of God during his governorship election tribunal proceedings.
What I'm doing today is in fulfillment of the promise I made before God and before my brother, Peter Fayoshi.
Thank God for his family, for his life, and above all, for his triumph at all the courts. It's not only Supreme Court, from tribunal.
The governors commend the support from Governor Fayoshi's wife, whom they describe as a spiritual powerhouse of the governor.
I want to put on record the special support which I received from Her Excellency, wife of our host today.
Those who know their God will make exploits. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall fly and never be weary.
The governors, after the special Thanksgiving service, later set out to commission some projects executed by the Fayoshi government in Ado-Ekiti. Mixed reactions are, however, trailing the visit of the governors to Ado-Ekiti. At a time, the state is still mourning the deaths of some medical doctors who died in a fatal road accident on their way to Sokoto for the Nigerian Medical Association conference. In an interesting twist, while one of the projects was being commissioned, a memorial lecture was being held in honor of the late Deputy Governor of the state, Fumi Olayinka. And in another report, Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has expressed his support for Nigeria Governors Forum's call on the federal government to halt deduction of loans on the monthly allocation due to states. Ambode, who stated this after a closed-door meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari, says such initiative will help state government to catch up current economic realities.
Recently, the federal government announced deferral in the loan deductions from monthly allocations due to states. A move, according to the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, is to enable state government pay salary as well as stimulate the economy. Emerging from a closed-door meeting with President Buhari, Lagos State Governor says the deferral will cushion the effects of the current economic crunch facing state governments.
It's about financial intelligence. They are not saying that they are not going to pay back. We're saying that based on the present circumstances, you can hold down principal payments and just take interest. And then maybe for a while, let's also ask for a moratorium to be able to pay principal at a future date. The issue is this: you cannot operate a state in the manner in which the financial inflows are coming now. It's very difficult.
The governor afterwards says he is in the villa to thank President Buhari on the rail agreement signed in China.
You recall also that Lagos State is a major beneficiary from that visit. The Lagos Metro rail project, which is costing almost about $2.5 billion. It's being signed on by Nigeria and by Mr. President. The Lagos Kano rail project and also all the projects that actually benefits coming to Lagos State. And it was important to just, personally come and say thank you.
Our state governments and the federal government continue to explore avenue of bringing the nation out of the current economic situation. Top on the wish list of Nigerians, according to analysts, is to see the end of the downturn as soon as possible. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Abiola Oluwole reporting for CoreTV News.
The Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Major General Sule Kazore, says Nigerians should expect a new and better NYSC scheme in the country. The NYSC boss stated this at the formal opening of the Batch A 2016 orientation course of the Youth Corps members. Udwa Godwin gives details.
Service Corps members has a new phase of its administration as a new Director General resumes office. The DG says he deemed it necessary to embark on his inspection visit to Taraba State on his assumption to make this promise, having served in the state about 48 years ago. He advised the Corps members to put in their best to uphold the name of the country and be patriotic while in their service year.
Whenever a chance is given to you, make sure you do it diligently. And the most important thing is, put this country in your mind. We don't have any other country than Nigeria.
The Corps members are also being reminded of their work as a team for the sole purpose of saving the national without disintegration.
Do not disappoint the NYSC scheme. And what do I mean by this? That you should be disciplined. Shun any social vices. Don't engage yourself in illicit drugs.
The visit of the Nigerian Youth Service Corps Director General is expected to cover the 36 states in Nigeria, where he would inspect the problems associated therein. Udwa Godwin, CoreTV News, Jalingo.
And in Bayelsa State, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, in the Niger Delta University, has commenced a sit-at-home protest following the inability of the governor, Seriake Dixon-led administration, to pay lecturers of the university 5-month salary arrears. Investigations reveal that ASU at the weekend directed its members to vacate the campus and to suspend all academic activities till further notice. Ongoing examinations were suspended and students were seen leaving the campus and the university community for their various homes. And in all the reports now, President Muhammadu Buhari is sympathizing with Edo State people and the governor, Adams Oshiomhole, on the passage of the Omonoba Nedo Ukuakpolokpolo Oba Erediowa, who passed away in the early hours of Friday. In a statement by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, the president, while extending commiseration to the family of the deceased, assures the sympathy and solidarity of the federal government and all Nigerians as they mourn Oba Erediowa, who will always be remembered as one of the most outstanding traditional rulers of his era. President Buhari believes that his place of honor in the history of the Benin Kingdom and Nigeria has been assured by his long and highly successful career as a public servant, administrator and chief custodian of the much celebrated culture and traditions of his people. In a related development, other prominent Nigerians have showered encomiums on the late Oba of Benin. You're watching CoreTV Primetime News. Let's take another break now, and when we return, we will bring you reports from outside Nigeria and from sports. Join us again.
With over 7 billion of world population and still counting, the world needs to hear you now than ever. Whatever your ministry or vision is, Gospel Africa will help get you there faster than you think possible. For inquiries and participation, contact 009 503 3859 or 0812-076-0011 or visit www.gospelafricang.com. Gospel Africa, your #1 media solution for the church today. Gospel Africa, showing on this station at this time. CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News, reaching you live from our Lagos studios. Now to report from beyond the shores. At least 7 people have died and over 121 rescued following the collapse of a 6-story residential building in a low-income area of Nairobi, the Kenyan capital, under heavy rain and flooding. The rainfall has caused landslides, washed away houses and flooded roads, and police says 14 people died in the Nairobi rains, including those in the collapse. Another 4 died when a wall toppled over. Red Cross spokesman Venat Ndigila says the team can hear voices of people who are still inside the rubble, noting that 150 building units and adjacent homes were affected. Nairobi's Deputy Governor Jonathan Mweke tells reporters at the scene that the government is working to establish if all the procedures were followed when the building was constructed. Nairobi's police chief Japhet Kume says some property developers in the country bypass building regulations to cut costs and maximize profit as a result of high demand for housing. A 2015 report from an audit ordered by Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta revealed that 58% of buildings in the capital were unfit to live in. And now the United Nations says Malawi albinos are at the risk of total extinction amid escalating attacks against them for their body parts. According to the UN, the Southern African nation has about 10,000 albinos who are calling for clear, urgent and coordinated response from the government, civil society and development partners to support their existence. These residents complain that punishment for those who attack albinos is not stringent enough. Albinism is a genetic condition that leads to little or no pigment in the eyes, skin and hair. In some African countries, albinos' body parts are believed to bring wealth and good luck, and as a result, attackers chop off their limbs and pluck out organs and sell them to witch doctors. Now, thousands of angry protesters have broken into Baghdad's heavily fortified green zone and stormed the parliament building after politicians again failed to approve new ministers. This is the climax of weeks of political turmoil in Iraq that has seen MPs hold a sit-in, brawl in the parliament chamber and seek to sack the speaker, stalling Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi's efforts to replace party-affiliated ministers with technocrats. The Baghdad unrest came after a bombing targeted Shia pilgrims near the Iraqi capital earlier in the day, killing at least 23 people. The protesters pulled barbed wire across a road leading to one of the exits of the green zone, effectively preventing some scared lawmakers from fleeing the chaos. The green zone unrest kicked off minutes after powerful cleric Muqtada al-Sadr wrapped a news conference in the holy Shia city of Najaf, during which he condemned the political deadlock. And at least 2 unknown assailants have hacked a Hindu tailor to death in central Bangladesh amid a rise in attacks on religious minorities in the South Asian nation. Police officials say they were investigating whether Saturday's killing in Tangail was linked to religious groups suspected of a series of minority killings or was tied to a family dispute. Bangladesh is reeling from a series of attacks on members of minority faith, secularists, foreigners and intellectuals in recent months, including 2 gay activists and a liberal professor in the past 8 days alone. Many of the killings have been blamed on or claimed by groups such as Al-Qaeda or the Islamic States of Iraq and the Levant, also known as ISIS group. 2 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed in fresh fighting between government forces and pro-Russian rebels in the east, even as a new truce takes effect. Officials say Saturday's casualties came a day after the Ukrainian government and pro-Russian fighters agreed on a new truce that began from midnight at talks in the Belarusian capital, Minsk. The agreement is aimed at reinforcing a deal co-signed by France and Germany in February of 2015 after a surge in violence in the industrial east of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko's envoy to the talks in Minsk, Leonid Kuchma, discloses that multiple violations of the new agreement had been recorded in the villages of Shirokine, Adivka and Marinka. He points out that Ukraine is sticking to the agreement and causing Russia and the rebels to respect the truce. Now to sports reports.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
The Nigeria Football Federation still hopes to convince world's football governing body FIFA to approve a proposed friendly against Bafana Bafana of South Africa next month. Officials of the federation say the NFF wishes to stage 3 friendlies during the FIFA friendly window next month to prepare the Super Eagles for the 2018 World Cup qualifiers starting in October. The Bafana friendly will be played in Lagos with home-based players. However, FIFA is not disposed to Nigeria playing 3 matches during the friendly window, as it will be an unfair way for Nigeria to improve its FIFA rankings. The NFF says the match against South Africa will be played by players drawn from the Nigeria Professional Football League. Super Eagles interim coach Salisu Yusuf says he plans to return overseas to understudy new Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola next season. Yusuf, who was recently at Scottish club Hearts to understudy workings at the club, notes that he shifted his initial schedule to be at Man City as he had to attend the CAF A license in Abuja. Yusuf says his visit to Scotland was eye-opening, showing him again why clubs in Europe are very prepared, because they have experts for all aspects of the preparations, from fitness conditioning to dieting. Yusuf was on Thursday, April the 21st, confirmed interim head coach of the Super Eagles after a meeting of the Technical and Development Committee in Abuja. And now Newcastle United head coach Rafael Benitez says the hard work of his players and the faithful support of the club's fans is crucial in the final 2 matches of the Barclays Premier League season after they moved out of the relegation zone on Saturday. A brilliant free kick from Andros Townsend and a Caldalo penalty save from former Newcastle midfielder Johan Cabaye ends the Magpies a 1-0 victory over Crystal Palace. Benitez says we have to keep going. The fans understand that getting behind the team is key, so hopefully the fans can make the difference again. Well, that's it on sports and on CoreTV Primetime News. But before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. Thank you for being a part of CoreTV Primetime News today. On behalf of the entire production crew, have a pleasant night rest. I am Abosedi Omowi.